It's March. You know what that means. It's March Madness time. I'm joined here by Aaron Shack, Peter Warren. We're going to give you our picks for this year's tournament. So why not? Let's start. Aaron Shack, tell me one upset you like in the first round here.
I have Nevada beating Iowa State. Towards the end of the regular season, I thought Iowa State was a little shaky, and I think it's very reasonable that Nevada, a very good, strong team, can beat Iowa State in the first round.
But what about the fact that Iowa State just won the Big 12 tournament? Monte Morris is a really strong guard. This is his fourth year. I think he has tournament experience. I know Nevada's a good team, 28-6, good scoring. What do you think about this matchup, Peter?
I'm going to agree with you here. Iowa State is going to win this game. You look at it, Nevada is a good team. You're right there. They got some NBA caliber guards. But Monte Morris, senior year, just won the Big 12. He's not going to want to end this run very early. He's going to push his team to the limit and get past. Well, that could be a tough game in this 5-12. They'll get them to the next round.
It's kind of funny you mentioned that. The 12 beating the 5 is kind of inevitable at this point in the tournament, so it's definitely a possibility. I don't want to rule it out. I think Iowa State's a better team. I can see Nevada, but I just couldn't pull the trigger. That's why I had to go with them. That's why I had to go with Iowa State over Nevada. But it'll definitely be interesting. What about you, Peter?
One team I like, and a lot of other analysts were saying it, Middle Tennessee in that game against Minnesota. We saw what they could do last year when they got hot. This is a better team all around than last year's team that beat Michigan State in the 15-2. But also, they're playing a team in Minnesota. They're not a 5 seed. Look at some of these teams below them in the 6, 7, 8. Even when we go down to Wichita State, the 10. They're better teams than this 5 seed in Minnesota. And when you get a team, Middle Tennessee, a lot of wins like that, underrated by the committee, they usually come out getting a W.
I'll give my stance on that in a bit. Did you have Middle Tennessee State or Minnesota?
Now, I had Minnesota because I feel like they had a strong Big Ten tournament. Obviously they didn't win it, but I still feel like they're a strong team. And no, I don't think they're a 5 seed, but I do think they will come out with a win. Middle Tennessee does deserve the 12 seed this year. I think they are better than the team that they were last year when they beat Michigan State. But I still can't pick Middle Tennessee over Minnesota, a very strong team who faces strong teams throughout the year in the Big Ten.
That's an interesting point. I actually did watch some Minnesota games this year. Pitino's done a great job. Only 8 wins last year. 5 is a bit high, as Peter mentioned, But I just had to pull the trigger at some point. This is my 12 over 5. I have Middle Tennessee also beating Minnesota, just like Peter said. For me, Minnesota's still a little young. Besides Nate Mason III, they're all freshmen or sophomores. I just think Middle Tennessee, I think they're actually better than they were last year, just as Peter said. So that's why I have the 12 over the 5. They upset, that infamous upset over Michigan State last year. I think they're going to be able to do it again, if not go further. So that's why I have the 12 seed beating the 5 here. For me, my big upset probably comes in the round of 32. I have the Wisconsin Badgers, an 8 seed, which was absolutely blasphemy by the NCAA committee to give them an 8 seed, which is ridiculous. I have the 8 seed Wisconsin Badgers defeating the number 1 overall seed Villanova Wildcats. Thoughts?
You can go first, Aaron.
Well, Villanova, I don't think they are as strong as they were as the championship winning team as they were last year. Even in their Big East tournament, Seton Hall only lost by 2 against them. Wisconsin is a strong team. I think they almost got gypped in the Big Ten tournament. They are always a strong team, and I do have them beating Villanova. Villanova, in my opinion, will not go even to the Elite 8 this year.
The predicate, I love this Wisconsin team. Nigel Hayes, I've been a fan of his for 4 years. He's always game to play. He's a great player, very underrated in my mind. We got Hap down low, that's another great player. But I just think Villanova is too strong right here. Look at the team, Josh Hart. After winning last year, Jay Wright, they don't want to be known as, a little bit of a one-hit wonder, because they've struggled before in this round of 32. Remember back NC State just 2 years ago. I remember last year we were off because of that. But I just look at it and I say Villanova's too tough. Wisconsin's a great team, I mentioned before. I think they're better than that 5 seed in Minnesota. I would have had them if they had to face. But I think they are just not giving a good matchup with Villanova. I think too quick at the guard spot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really tough for the number 1 overall seed, given that Wisconsin beats Virginia Tech, which I hope and they should do. It's really tough for Villanova to face this matchup, but I think Aaron actually said it perfectly. Villanova's kind of struggled a bit here down the stretch. Lost Butler twice. And the thing that worries me the most, Villanova doesn't really have a big presence like they did last year with the Chefu. This year, Wisconsin, I just think that's a bad matchup for Villanova overall. Wisconsin has the bigs like Ethan Happ, Nigel Hayes, and then seniors like Bronson Koenig, Nigel Hayes, Vito Brown. I just think the seniors of those three, that trio, they've been there before. They went to the finals 2 years ago when they ended up losing to Duke, so they know what it takes to go far in this tournament. Not that Villanova doesn't, but I just think the seniors of Wisconsin are just going to be so strong. I think they're going to play with a little chip on their shoulder, not giving the respect as an 8 seed, and they're going to pull off the upset over the number 1 overall Villanova Wildcats. So now, while we all have upsets, we're going to skip to the Final Four here just to save some time. So Aaron, why don't you start? Give me your Final Four team from the East section.
In the East, I have the Duke Blue Devils. I think they're very strong towards the end of the year, really showing they beat UNC in their third matchup, shoot the ball very, very well. I think if they don't get into foul trouble, I think they'll be able to maybe even pull out the tournament. Although I don't have them going, I think they are my team from the East. Now in the West, I have the Arizona Wildcats. I think they are very, very strong this year. Past years, I know you have them winning, but this year I can really realistically see it. In the Midwest, I have Kansas. The Jayhawks are very, very strong this year. Although they have some tough losses, they also have some big wins against Kentucky and some other big teams this year. And in the South, I have UNC. I mean, even though they've struggled against Duke this year, losing 2 and only winning 1, I still think they are a powerhouse. And if they don't get into foul trouble themselves and continue to shoot the ball well, I can see them going far.
Some great points there. Peter, I know you didn't fill out your bracket exactly, but show me 1 or 2 teams you think that can make a Final Four run here.
Well, just looking around, I mean, I'm looking at this Midwest, section. I think it's very, very weak. I mean, you have Kansas at the top, and you have, I think in my mind, a weak 2 seed in Louisville, a weak 3 seed in Oregon with the injury. And just all around, I could see a lot of teams possibly making runs. I want to go back to Oregon. A lot of people are counting them out because of the injury. But, I mean, I'm still looking at the team. Dylan Brooks,
Yep.
Dorsey, those are 2 tough players to guard, great shooters, and I'm looking at around. If they have to, Rhode Island, Creighton, beat them all in the next round. I mean, Louisville, Michigan, they could light it up and they could still make a run. If they're in another bracket, I'm a lot more hesitant. I'm looking, there's not really a tough matchup for them until you get to Louisville and then you get to Kansas.
All right, yeah, well, I see that. I actually have Iona beating Oregon, but I definitely know what you're saying. Dylan Brooks, Joey Dorsey, those are tough guys to guard. So my Final Four, I also agree with Aaron on the East and West. I have Duke, very strong, just won the ACC tournament. Again, a trio of Tatum, Luke Kennard, Grayson Allen. If those 3 get hot, I think they're one of the best teams in the country. I don't think anyone can stop them. So I have Duke from the East. In the West, I also have Arizona, just like Aaron said. Sean Miller, is this the year? Please, come on, it has to be. I mean, come on. Alonzo Trier, Laurie Markkinen, Kadeem Allen. If this isn't the year, you might as well just quit. From the Midwest, this is my real shocker. I got Michigan. I'm very high on them. I know the plane crash. I think that built the chemistry. They're much tighter now, much tighter unit. I have Iowa State upsetting Kansas early on, Big 12 matchup. Iowa State beat Kansas in Kansas, so I think they'll be able to pull off the upset once again. Michigan beating Louisville, also an upset. So Michigan in the Final Four for me. Then in the South, this was very tough, and I'm kind of hesitant. I'm talking to a lot of people around school. This isn't a popular pick, but I have Kentucky, whereas a lot of people have UNC or UCLA. I just think Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox, Briscoe, my boy John Cal, he's got to get it done. Eventually, he always chokes in the tournament. He had that team 2 years ago where he choked in the Final Four. Last year, lost to Indiana and Tom Crean, which was a joke. So this year has to be the year.
If you look at that team, you said Monk, Fox. Here's, I think, going to be the key. They have the low post presence to go toe-to-toe with UNC. It's not better all around. I'm looking at guys like Adebayo, Willis. They can go toe-to-toe with, Hicks and Kennedy Meeks down low, and that could be a big in that Elite 8 matchup.
I think there'll be some matchup for the ages in the South. You have some real powerhouses in UCLA, Kentucky, UNC. Those teams, Butler, all teams who have made far runs before. So absolutely, I see 100% what you're saying. That's kind of why I stuck with them. I don't think UCLA. I think they play too risky. If they don't shoot well one game, they have no really source of offense. They need that 3 ball to get going. Welsh just came down with an injury. Lonzo Ball hurt his left hand. I think that might affect him. So absolutely, that's kind of why I picked Kentucky. But you just reaffirmed why I picked that. So now, who do you have winning it all, Aaron?
I have the Kansas Jayhawks. I mean, at the beginning of the year, they were very strong and looked like a clear winner. As the year went on, as we all saw, it's very tough this year to pick out a clear-cut winner. But I still think that they have the depth in their bench and the strong shooting with all their players that I think they'll be able to pull it out over the Arizona Wildcats.
Okay, I like that pick. I know. Are you going to say, or do you not want to reveal?
I'll just say, my one problem with Kansas winning it all is that, they've had a lot of issues off the court this year.
Absolutely.
And I mean, Josh Jackson not playing the Big 12 tournament, it was kind of the culmination of that. Where does that leave them mentally and as a unit? Because you look at down the list: Bragg, Vic, Jackson. These are all guys who have had off-court issues, and there's a chance. I know there's nothing about that will matter in this tournament, but there's also a chance a problem comes down, say, against a Michigan State in that round of 32, and maybe even against a Purdue or a Iowa State in that Sweet 16. There are issues along the way that is to be hesitant about picking a team like Kansas.
Well,
But
you could say the same thing about a Kentucky team, a very young team. They might not be able to make a deep run in this tournament just because of the youth of their team. Same thing with the UNC. If they get into foul trouble, they're almost terrible. When if they can't shoot the ball well, they get into foul trouble early, their game is ruined. And Arizona, I mean, they've lost early in past years, but they've also have the caliber to make it a deep run. So I think all teams are battling these issues, and I think Kansas will be able to pull it out.
One thing, you both make great points. One thing that I know about Kansas, sometimes they seem to just play down to the competition, and as the best team, they always seem just playing down. They need to raise their level. Sometimes the best teams bring out the best in them, but when you're playing these teams in the early rounds that aren't the best, I don't know why, it just gives me a tricky feeling. I feel I just don't maybe have the guts to pick them all the way. I just have, something just keeps telling me no. They always just seem in a tight game, whether it's Oklahoma State early in the year or Iowa State, which they lost to earlier, as I mentioned. I don't know about them. They're just so, one day they can win by 40, the next they'll lose in a buzzer beater. I just don't know about them, but you both bring up great points. Now I have the Arizona Wildcats winning it all. Sean Miller, come on, this has to be it. I said it before. I have Arizona versus Kentucky in the finals for the reasons we kind of mentioned before, but Alonzo Trier is coming back, he's playing better than ever, and Arizona, unlike any other team in the country, has 3 guys over 7 foot, so that, I don't think anyone's going to be able to guard that. And to coincide that with the shooting ability of Kadeem Allen, Parker Jackson Cartwright, I just think they're too strong, and they're a very underrated defensive team. And Arizona, they don't seem to lose many games to teams they shouldn't. This year they have 4 losses, but all to 4 quality teams. Oregon, Butler, Kentucky, and Oregon, UCLA, Butler, I don't remember the 4th off the top of my head, but those are all quality teams, so I don't see them getting upset in the early rounds. They don't seem to play down to the competition like Kansas. So that's why I had to go with Arizona. My gut and my heart is just telling me to do it.
I mean, personally, I think that's a very good choice. I mean, you talked about it, but you meant the 3 7-footers, but also the depth they have all around their team. I mean, you mentioned it. PCJ comes off the bench. He could start at point guard for probably, 8 and 9 of the teams in this tournament. I mean, the depth they have is incredible. Not only at the guard, but at the big spot, which is, tough to find outside of a UNC in this tournament. And I think that can really elevate them to the next level, where it's going to be tough for a lot of these teams to guard them. I mean, just in their own section. I mean, Gonzaga's got some height, but I don't know if they can guard them out on the wing. And really, I mean, maybe West Virginia can press them, but at least out the West, it should be smooth sailing once you get to the Final Four.
Well, there you have it. 3 completely different picks. The beauty of March is you never know what's going to happen. So stay tuned. Hope you enjoyed this beautiful month of basketball, and we'll check back with you soon.